Hi, my name is Amanda Kong, and I'm one of the pre-health advisors here in the College of Arts and Sciences in Tyson Hall. And today I'm going to share with you a little bit about pharmacy program prerequisites. So in order to be eligible to apply to doctorate pharmacy programs, PharmD programs, you need to have completed a certain number and certain kinds of classes before you're able to do that, right? Now, these prerequisites for these programs are different than your major requirements and different from your university requirements. So just because you're adding these PharmD prerequisites to your program does not mean that you are going to be able to graduate, right? You still need to look and make sure that you're taking all of the major classes that are required, and that you're meeting those 180 credit totals, 62 upper division credit totals, right? So today's presentation will go over the common prerequisites that will, if you take them, that will enable you to apply to about 80 to 90% of programs across the country. We'll also talk about any requirements that may vary or that are highly recommended. We'll also talk about any nuances to this coursework, and then what kind of resources that you have in order to start planning out your path to graduation. So for PharmD programs, as I said, they require certain kinds of prerequisites. So you're going to start with general chemistry with labs. You need at least 1 year. So that's going to be Chem 221 and 227, Chem 222 and 228, and Chem 223 and 229. You're also going to need 1 year of general biology with labs. That's going to be Bio 211, Bio 212, and Bio 214. Only biology majors should be taking Bio 213. It's more plants than anything, and it's not really relevant to anybody else other than biology majors or, interested MSci majors, earth science, whatever, right? You'll also notice here that biology does not have a separate lab section like chemistry does. So whereas chemistry, you're taking Chem 221, which is the lecture part, and then you're also enrolling in Chem 227, which is a separate lab. For biology, the labs are embedded within the course. So Chem 221 is 4 credits, and then the lab section is 2 credits, right? For the biology sequence, you want to imagine them as a 3-credit course with a 2-credit lab, all within the same course number, right? So you just need to register for Bio 211, 212, and 214. There's no like hidden labs. You'll also need 1 year of organic chemistry with labs. So that's going to be Chem 331 and 337, Chem 335 and 338, and Chem 337. You'll notice that there is no OChem lab in the spring, and that's because 337 and 338 are both worth 3 credits each, right? So from those 2 quarters, you're getting 6 credits of lab, which is essentially a 2-credit lab the whole year. You'll also need 1 quarter of physics with lab. That's physics 201 and 204. 1 quarter of statistics. Generally, that's going to be stats 243Z. However, if you've taken it at the community college or taken AP stats, you're not eligible to repeat it. If you are a psychology or neuroscience major, you might take Psych 302 or Math 425 instead. But please be aware that you cannot take, that stats 243Z is equivalent to Math 425. So you cannot take Math 425 if you've already done AP stats or stats at a different community college. You'll also need 1 quarter of calculus. That's going to be Math 251 or Math 246. Math 246 is calculus 1 for life sciences. And it just means that the word problems are a little bit more geared towards biology, and you are doing a little bit more computer modeling, which you wouldn't necessarily do in regular Calc 1. You'll also need 1 year of anatomy and physiology. So that's HIFI 321 and 322, 323 and 324. And then you'll take 325 in the spring of that year. There's also medical terminology, HIFI 211, scientific investigations in physiology, HIFI 212. You'll notice that both of these are yellow. I'll talk about what that means more towards the end of the slide. There's also 1 quarter of intro to psychology. You can do either Psych 201Z or 202Z. Either work. 202 is a social science core ed. You'll need 1 quarter of microbiology lecture, which is Bio 330. one quarter of biochemistry, which is Chem 360, and then also one quarter of micro or macroeconomics, which is Economics 201 or 202. And that's because many pharmacists run their own business, so it is very helpful to know, kind of that economics businessy sides of things if you are interested in running your own practice. There's also speech or communications. You need one quarter of it, and here at UO, that's English 200. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about these funky fonts. So these classes in yellow, hyphy 211 and hyphy 212, are actually not required for PharmD programs. They're just required for anatomy and physiology. So just as PharmD programs have prerequisite courses that you need to complete before you can even attempt to apply, anatomy and physiology is the same thing, right? They have certain prerequisite classes that you need to take before you can even think about joining the class, right? And those are these courses here in yellow, Chem 223 and Bio 212, hyphy 211 and hyphy 212. So now for these courses in red, Intro to Psychology and Speech or Communications actually vary from program to program. But if you're interested in our Pharmacy Bridge program, you definitely will need to take them. And what is the Pharmacy Bridge program, you might ask? That is our next slide here. So we actually have an agreement with Pacific University that our students can get guaranteed conditional admission to the PharmD program at Pacific. So you are going to receive, educational and career support. So basically you'll get advising as well from the Pacific University School of Pharmacy faculty. You'll also be able to participate in any of their pre-professional workshops, even though you might not be, at that level yet, right? You'll also be able to participate in School of Pharmacy events and build mentor relationships with the current students there. Right. This is a really great program, especially if you have some anxiety about applying and getting into programs, right? Really consider doing the bridge program with Pacific because it's pretty straightforward. As long as you're meeting most of these criteria, you'll be getting interviewed, you'll be getting guaranteed conditional admissions, right? So again, like based on your grades, as long as everything's fine, then you're good to go, right? If for some reason you don't complete a prerequisite, you won't be able to attend, that kind of thing, right? So it's a very safe way to know that you have a future in pharmacy. So in order to be eligible to apply to this bridge program, you need to complete 30 credit hours here at UO and have a 3.0 GPA or higher. So generally that's usually after a year of full-time classes, which include some prerequisite science classes. That's when you'll kind of know whether or not you're eligible for this program. So as I said, those red classes on the other page were specific to Pacific School, right? So if you want to go to Pacific, you should take at least one Intro to Psychology class, you should take Physics Lab, and you should take English 200 or some other speech or communications class, right? So if you're interested in Pacific University, these are the requirements that you definitely need to hit. Now, as I said, Physics Lab kind of varies from program to program. It's not just specific, that's weird about it. So please do your research and make sure that in your programs, you don't have any outlying prerequisites that you need to grab. And when you're taking these prerequisite courses, here are some things that you need to know. So number one, they are required to be graded and you need a C or better on each of these prerequisite courses. Pass, no pass is not accepted. So if you're taking advantage of something like first term grade forgiveness or doing pass, no pass because you want to protect your GPA, that's totally fine. That's a great idea. I encourage you to do that, but please know that you will need to retake those classes for a grade at some point. Some prerequisites may expire, right? Which means that you need to have them done between 5 to 7 years of actually entering your PharmD program. Typically, that's going to be the biology and the anatomy and physiology classes. So again, please double check. Also, not every program will accept AP or IB credit, especially if it's biology, because as I pointed out, biology often has that expiration date. So please make sure that you are reaching out to admissions officers to ask them if this is okay, to ask them if you can just do 4 credits of biochemistry instead of 4.5 or whatever, right? They're very friendly. This is their job, right? They're looking to recruit the people who are a good fit for their program. So the more contact you make with them, the more that they can see your personality and your kind of learning style, and the better they can determine whether or not you're a fit for the school, right? So there's nothing to lose here by contacting those admissions offices at these pharmacy schools and asking them these clarifying questions. So for the general rule of thumb, follow the common requirements list. As I said, that will make you eligible to apply to about 80 to 90% of programs throughout the country. You'll also notice I've been saying research programs quite a bit, right? And in order to do that or to get started on that, I highly recommend that you visit the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy website. They have a great directory where you can search and filter programs by location and other things. So if you're feeling very overwhelmed by this process, you can use that directory search to help kind of narrow it down for you. When you're doing that research, though, you might see some language that is kind of confusing for you. So here at UO, we are on the quarter system, right? Which means there are 3 quarters to our 1 year. However, other schools may be on the semester system, in which case they only have 2 semesters per year, right? So 2 term periods, not 3. What does this mean in terms of your prerequisites? So all this means is that you're going to have to do a little bit of math. Right. So if you are doing some research and you're seeing that this school is listing their prerequisite requirements in semester credits, in order to translate those to quarter credits, you're going to need to multiply those semester credits by 1.5, right? So if a school says that you need 3 semester credits of biochemistry, 3 times 1.5 is 4.5 quarter credits. Now, at this point, you might be saying like, oh, wait, but our biochem is only 4 credits and I need 4.5 credits. So number one, reach out to these programs individually. They might say, oh yeah, it's no problem, we'll just round up, 4 credits is fine. However, there are some programs who are really strict about this requirement. And if they say 4.5, they mean 4.5, even if you have to take a bunch of extra credits to get it done, right? So even though you have to take 8 credits, if they want 4.5 credits, you got to take the full 8 credits to make sure that you're satisfying that requirement. So please do take the time to do that research into schools before. Okay, so now we're at the end of this presentation, and I hope you're feeling a little bit more familiar with the idea of the pharmacy path and what kind of coursework that you need to complete in order to get there, right? Now we are going to have another video that is tips and tricks and how to grad plan. But before you watch that, let me leave you with some things to think about. So just as I said that you have different requirements for your major than you do for these PharmD programs and different requirements for the university, right? In addition to that, the university has different prerequisites than your PharmD program, right? So for example, in order to get into Bio 214, you need to have done Chem 223 and Bio 212, right? Those are the prerequisites for Bio 214. So make sure that you're looking up all the classes that you need to take as part of your major, looking at the classes that you need to take as part of this path, and determine whether or not here at UO that we require that you have some prerequisite coursework before you can enter into that course. If you've already been taking classes here, how have you been doing? Do you need to retake a class for a C or better? It's not the end of the world if you do, but we do want to make sure that you have that in mind as you're doing your graduation plan. And then as you're thinking about that, think about how you're using the summers, right? Are you thinking about freeing up your rest of the year schedule for more science by taking your core ed over the summer? Or is it that you need to take some science over the summer and therefore you need to hang out with these core ed classes during the year and your regular prereq schedule or your regular major schedule, right? So please think about that as you go into that grad planning video, okay? So make sure to check out our YouTube for that. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. And if you've got any questions, please make sure to email us here at prehealthadvising@uoregon.edu. Appointments might be a little bit scarce in the fall. We tend to book out very quickly. So if you've got some questions, please go to your major advisor or email us here at prehealthadvising.uoregon.edu. We can determine whether or not your major advisor can answer that question, or whether we can answer it very quickly over email, or whether or not you need to actually make an appointment and come in so we can have that fuller, deeper conversation. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.